What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with the first Paul James show in a little while. It is our round 17 preview episode. It's good to be back doing the Paul James show once again, and excited to have all of you who are already here getting active in the chat tonight. We're seeing Mark, who's here talking about getting the W on the board against the Cats. We've got Shadu that's popped in. We've got Jackie here. Hoping I don't miss anyone. Amy's just popped in. Lots of you already there, busy in the chat tonight. Looking forward to chatting to all of you over the course of the show, because it has been a little while, about a week and a half now, since we've had any dialogue. We've, of course, had the live stream the other night for the mid-season review episode that myself, Ben, and the chaps were all on board for. But the old Paul James show format, it's been missing. Roaming, good to hear you there in the chat as well. And apologies if I've missed anyone else at this stage. But it is really good to be back. Good to be doing it again. And I'm looking forward to getting into the show with you nice and soon. Firstly, in terms of the run of show tonight, we're going to go through match selection, where there's not a lot to it. We'll jump into match preview mode, talking about the Cats and the Tigers in a bit of detail. We'll explore the other games of the round. We've got a player spotlight where we're going to talk about Ollie Dempsey and all he's notched up so far, and of course his awesome contract signing since we did an episode of this last. We'll jump into some Q&A. We'll deal with Game of the Week, which is going to be a little bit different this week. I'm not going to be spotlighting a game, but more of a near and dear subject within the gaming industry. And we'll wrap things up from there. It won't be the longest of shows tonight. I'm really looking to try and keep it close-ish to an hour, simply because for me, this is the final week of the school term, and I am absolutely stuffed. So not a lot of gas in the tank. Got to try and limp through. Very much looking forward to doing this, and kind of there's that little surge of energy, but I need to go get an early night. I've run out of steam. It's time for this teacher to go into power down mode for the most part. So let's get into things before even getting into match selection by talking about some of the big topics of the week. One of those, a very large topic across the AFL, was the conversation around Tom Lynch. Of course, he's not going to be playing for the Tigers this weekend because he has been suspended for 5 weeks for that throwing of hands on the weekend. He got a bit Alistair Lynch in this particular scenario, and took a few pot shots at, I think it was Jordan Butts from Adelaide, and has copped a 5-week suspension for it. The Tigers decided not to contest it after they pushed for 3. The AFL pushed for 5. If anyone saw the video that I put together for the Hoops Crew where I was speculating, I thought it was going to be 3 or 5. I actually felt like the rubric was going to work in Richmond's favour, and that would get them to 3. But whether they saw the writing on the wall or they just didn't think it was worth it, I don't know. But 5 was the decision. I think it's the right one, but I just didn't think we'd get to that particular conclusion. 5 weeks is the suspension. Fight Club, we've got at Richmond here. Between Tom Lynch and Noah Bolter, apparently that club just likes taking pot shots at people. So, yeah, we'll leave that alone. I don't want to get too in the weeds about one punches and those sorts of things, but that's a cultural thing. Let's fix that one up. It's a society-wide problem, of course, as well. So let's not be encouraging it. Let's not be glorifying it when you've got this amazing pedestal and you're earning millions of dollars over multiple years. It's not on. Roaming says, please boo Noah Bolter. I don't like booing, to be honest. But I'm no, and us as a club, we're better than that. I would say we are better than that. So that said, we also heckled our own. We also heckled our own in Grime Eyes recently, so I don't know what to believe anymore. But we're better than that. So let's not be booing Tom Lynch. I get it, Roaming. I totally understand how and why people would want to do that. But I think everyone got it out of the system in that Gold Coast game. And it's done. Another piece of news this week does relate to our beloved Geelong Cats. It is relating to Mark Blitzarves, because he's recently gotten engaged. So a massive congratulations to Mark, who's now engaged to, and to be honest, I didn't know her name beforehand, but Georgia Mina. I don't know if I've pronounced her surname right there, but Georgia Mina. Congratulations to the both of them, though, and not sure if there's some sort of timeline in place for the wedding, but I'm sure on behalf of everyone at the Hoops Crew, everyone in the community, everyone in the Geelong supporter base, we're wishing them all the best, and hopefully that goes really, really well to them. Shadu nails it. Congrats, Blitz. And that's the smaller news stories out of the way, and allows us to get into match selection. And as I think Jackie nailed before, match selection equals no change. There's no change for the Cats this week from the team that went to field against Brisbane a couple of weeks ago and lost. But no changes for the Cats there. It means that our bench currently looks like Tyson Stengel, Lawson Humphries, Mitch Duncan, Mark O'Connor, and Ollie Henry. One of those, of course, will be the sub this week. The emergencies, I think, is exactly the same as 2 weeks ago as well. Jed Buse, Jack Bowes, and George Stevens, who even when we're playing against the Tigers, cannot break through. This is getting infuriating. Please give this bloke a game. Roaming's also to shout out that North is being smashed at the moment. Jeez, I started the show early and didn't expect to see a hiding nice and early. I tipped the Dogs by 42. Hang on, it's 12-0. Oh, but the game's been going for less than 5 minutes. Okay. Justice for Buse. That's right. Shadou's surprised no rest. I mean, look, for me, I wouldn't be banking on a rest off the back of a bye because everyone's gotten a rest. So I don't know that the rest sort of rationale is the right one. But I'm just surprised there's been no changes. Anyway, did they not do match selection? Maybe not. Maybe it'll do. That's fine. We're playing Richmond. Just send them out there again. But please don't underestimate the Tigers. They've proven on a couple of occasions this year they are not as bad as everyone expected them to be this season. They've got some fight in them. And if we're not careful, it could come back to bite us or give us a bit of a scare. That said, this was the perfect opportunity to give George Stevens a go, as Shadou says, and I'm really disappointed that hasn't happened. Some milestones, though, this week. Chris Scott is playing his 350th game, and geez, I wish I should have been more alert and had the graphic ready. Might see if I've got it available somewhere, because yes, I've got it here, and we're bringing it back just to spite Ben for a moment. So hang on, let me get rid of that. We'll stop sharing that screen for now. More on that later. We'll bring this one back just for Ben, because if he ends up coming off the emergencies list, we want to congratulate Jack Bowes. Jack Bowes on his 50th game in the event that he comes off the emergency list this weekend. But Chris Scott, 350th game as a coach is the big milestone, and a massive congratulations to Chris Scott. That is an enormous accomplishment. I believe most games coached as a Cats coach now. Games coached at Geelong. I'm pretty sure he's comfortably above that milestone now. Yeah, Reg Hickey was 304. That's right. He did it ages ago. So most games coached, 350 this weekend, hopefully capped with a win, as opposed to the last 350 game milestone that we celebrated 2 weeks ago. An update from Roaming. North is no longer being smashed. They're down by 5 points. But let's keep this one going. So yeah, congratulations to Jack Bowes if he plays game 50. Continuing on from there, though, looking at the injury list, Cam Guthrie is listed as a test, but we spoke about this on the the mid-season review episode the other day. There was photos of him from training looking pretty sharp. The hair's starting to grow, so his magic powers might be back. Toby Conway is now down to 2 weeks out of football. Sam De Koning down to 2 to 3. Jai Clark will be, I presume this is going to be out of date. He'd be coming out of concussion protocols now, I would have thought. Ben might have, because Ben's been working on the show notes for a little while. He may well have written that one up before it was updated, July 2nd, which was yesterday. He's still listed as the concussion protocol. So that's an interesting one. And Jake Kolodjasny is listed as indefinite. We've got some notable absentees to discuss. Of course, all three of those that are already on the emergency list. So I think it's really important to acknowledge Jed Buse, Jack Bowes, and George Stevens as players who are frightfully unlucky to be not be playing. As Roaming said before, as I wholeheartedly agree, justice for Jed. I want to see Busey playing week in, week out. But maybe there's some sort of strategy to it, similar to last year, where he is going to be right there kicking the door down and then comes in at a million miles an hour at the end of the season. What Jed Buse played the last 2 or 3 home and away games and then all through the finals and played fantastic football. Maybe there's something in that. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be repeated this year. Roaming says, saying hashtag justice for Buse for each time he says Buse. I just did it twice then. Justice for Jed. I like it rolls off the tongue better. But beyond the emergencies, we've also got 3 other notable absentees. Mitch Nevitt, who's been playing good footy in the VFL, Ollie Wiltshire, and Ted Closey. All 3 have been doing some really great stuff for the Cats in the seconds. And, I guess regardless of where we stand on the various players who are in or out of the team at the moment, I think it's great to have 6. We've just spoken about 6 players who are absolutely, if required, good to go and are playing at a really high standard of football. And that's just 6. There's more than that, but we've just spoken about 6 from tonight. It's really good for Geelong. Depth is obviously such an important thing in the AFL. We spoke about it in the season review episode the other day. The Cats have played 30 different players so far this year. It's not a lot when you think about it, especially probably compared to a lot of other clubs. We've had a pretty solid 23 for the entire season so far, and to only roll 7 other players through in various different capacities is great for depth, great for form and fitness. But it's also awesome to know that those who are on the fringe are playing really good football, and if needed, will come in and hopefully kick some goals, maybe literal ones as well. Mark says, Geelong's future is looking bright with such players not being able to break into the team. Absolutely. Amy says, you've got to have good depth. That's what every successful team in the AFL has, is depth. That's why Carlton's struggling at the moment, because they don't have any. In terms of the opposition this week, we've got 3 ins, 3 outs. The number 1 draft pick, Sam Laylor, returns for the Tigers, as does Thomas Sims and Morris Rioli. The outs, we've obviously spoken about Tom Lynch and his 5-week suspension, but as well as Tom Lynch, they're also losing McKelty Lefau and Steely Green, which is just a wild name. Steely Green. The umpires for the week, Lee Fisher, Justin Power, Jack Howard, and Harrison Birch. That is your ins and outs for this week. Some really, I guess, fascinating decisions or lack of decisions when it comes to the team selection. But we are now building towards a finals campaign, hopefully. And we'll see how it all continues to shape up over the course of the season. Roaming's just kind of referenced Jack Martin. It's a really interesting one, I think, to kind of see how the club handles Jack Martin over the course of the season. He's obviously taken a long time to crack the team. He's had his good and bad moments over the course of the year. Over the course of his couple of games he's played. And I think the club wants to persist with a, wait and see, like give him time, see what he can do, see if he can flourish and find that form that he's had when he was at Gold Coast and Carlton at his best and when he's fit. And if he doesn't find it, well, he just slips out. So I think there could be something to that, but we'll wait and see. The guy's super capable, so it's just whether he can kind of rediscover some touch. Getting into larger match preview mode, and I might just project the game so that we've got, oh my God, yeah, North are in front, as Roaming has said. What is going on? I tipped the Dogs by 42 points tonight. It's early. It's early. That's all. Like, I'll just keep that in my head. It's early. We'll just keep Jack Bose here for a little bit longer. Let's bring up the Cats and the Tigers, where we are one day, 20 hours and just shy of 30 minutes away from the bounce of the ball. 4:15 p.m. on Saturday, July 5th. Saturday, July 5th for that matchup at the GMHBA, I should say. So make sure if you're going along, all the more reason, I guess, if you want to go down the roaming path and boo Noah Bolter. There's going to be a lot of supporters there around you, but let's be better than that, please. I'm looking forward to this matchup, not because it's necessarily going to be the most enticing, not that we're necessarily going to maybe feel much tension through this game, but to see the Cats come out and maybe flex their muscle a little bit should be really, really good. The chap's popped in. Assume Jake. Saying, what would his cafe be called, Jackie? Jed Brews. I love it. Absolutely love it. And sorry, that's in reference to the fact that Jackie said earlier that Jed is apparently working on a cafe, maybe opening a cafe, which is awesome. Some details around the game. So as I said, 4:15 Saturday. Make sure you're arriving early. Of course, we know that what the traffic and the parking situation can be like near GMHBA, let alone during the winter time where things are slower again. The forecast is 16 degrees with a possible shower. Going into this game, the Cats currently sit fourth on the ladder, coming off a loss, as we've discussed earlier, to Brisbane. 5 wins from our last 6 games. The Tigers, they are 17th on the ladder right now. They're in the midst of a 6-game, hopefully 7-game losing streak with 2 wins from their last 14 matches. Some history here. Geelong need a smashing to win the comp over. I don't think anyone's kind of fallen out of love with Geelong off the back of the Brisbane game. I think most outside observers are looking at Geelong going, okay, they had a bad one. I think that's where most of us kind of stand on that game as well, is that execution was the biggest problem for the Cats. In that particular game, we just couldn't hit our targets. We were missing basic passes at critical points on the ground, and they came back to bite us on the arse. And we've had that blip a couple of times this year. I would say that was the case against Carlton. I would say that was the case against St Kilda. So I think I don't think anyone's necessarily jumped off us too much. And Shadoo's just jumped in saying Fox has a possible premiership winner. Everyone would have seen, I posted, I think Jackie had posted in the Discord. I grabbed the image and dropped it during the match. The season review video that we did the other day. Geelong is, I think, one of 3 teams that Fox has got in the premiership window based on being inside the top 6 for scores for and scores against. It's obviously bottom 4 for scores against. But let's get into some history justice for Bose. There we go. Let's do it. Jack Bose. What a ripper. All right, so history. 203 games have been played between Geelong and Richmond since 1908, with the Cats winning 53% of those. They've played off in 12 finals, including 3 grand finals. 2020, which we've got a star next to. 1967 and 1931. There've been 3 draws between the two teams. The last time we played at Cardinia Park, round 13, 2024, the Cats won by 30 points. Richmond has lost 6 straight games at GMHBA Stadium and have had 1 win from 15 attempts. For a little bit of extra history and for some reminders here, let's go back to 2017 when the Tigers were sucking it up after having to play at GMHBA that year. Now, of course, they won the flag that year in the end, but didn't take too kindly to having to play in Geelong at all. Get over yourselves. Geelong's won 4 of the 5 last meetings between the 2 teams. And of course, some golden memories here. Geelong's highest winning margin against the Tigers was 157 points at what is now referred to as Marvel Stadium in 2007. I was there. If you were there in the chat, let me know. That was an amazing game. Round 6, 2007. I could not believe what I saw. It was also the highest score that Geelong has ever notched up against the Tigers, with 222 points on the scoreboard that day. To dive into... Oh, Jackie was there. Good. If there's anyone else, please, let me know if you were there that day. Awesome game of football. You were there with the Richmond family. Sucked in Richmond family. I'll keep pinning those. If there's anyone else that was there that day, let me know in the chat. And looking forward to kind of making sure we highlight that, because some awesome history in that window of time. We look at the 2 clubs and players that have changed hands over the years. Tyson Stengel was at the Tigers. Brad Ottens, Big Pill, Trevor Poole, Rex Hunt, Shane Williams, all played at the Tigers before coming to the Cats. On the flip side, we've donated a lot of our players to the Tigers over the years. Josh Caddy, Taylor Hunt, Mark Neild, Adam Houlihan, Craig Bitterscombe, Paul Sarah, Andy Preston, Graham Landy, and Gareth Andrews have all been Cats that have then gone on to wear the black and white for the Tigers. In the footballing department, of course, there's also Neil Baum and Tommy Hafey that have exchanged hands between the 2 clubs over the years as well. Here's a little bit of trivia for you in case you missed it. Recent Richmond debutant, or one of their recent draft picks, this past draft, Luke Traynor. He's the grandson of Geelong legend Doug Wade. It's a shame we don't have grandfather-son rules, because he's a pretty damn good player from all I've seen. Did I say black and white? Sorry, roaming. Black and yellow. Yellow and black. But yeah, Luke Traynor. grandson of the Geelong legend Doug Wade. It's a real bloody shame that we don't have some sort of grandfather-son thing in place, because he's a pretty good player from all I've seen. Would love to have had him in the hoops. Not to be, though. He's a Tiger. Maybe we can woo him over sometime in the future. In terms of the opposition and what we need to be looking out for me, there's a few key players that are really, really important. Nick Vlaston, Jacob Hopper, and Tim Taranto. I'll also put the spicy meatball Dion Prestia in there as well. The Richmond midfield still has a lot of skill behind it. And there's, you add your Sam Laylaws and your Luke Trainers who are young and got depth and skill and just need to develop their bodies and get more experience at the highest level. Like their midfield, pretty solid. So look out for the midfield. Nick Vlaston is obviously really important for them in the defensive end. And I did kind of kid the other day about Noah Bolter, but the game would end after his curfew, would end before his curfew. But yeah, 4:15 start. Well, lineups. He's still listed. So I guess the belief is that they can wrap the game, like he can finish up at 6:30 or whatever, and jump in his car and just race home. No need to have an unwind, no ice baths. Just get home and make sure you don't get in trouble with the cops. Make sure your ankle bracelet doesn't go off. So what time is it? 10 o'clock. I thought his Noah Bolter, what's the curfew? Oh, it has to be home by 10 o'clock. Yeah, that's okay. That's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. But as Amy's just highlighted, there are, Jackie's correct. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. There's plenty of premiership talent on that team. Noah Bolter, Nathan Broad, Nick Vlaston, Dion Prestia, Big Nank, Taranto and Hopper haven't. But there's still a few premiership players on that list, and some other really talented players in and around him. Interesting to see that they've put Sam Laylaw at full forward this week. That certainly won't be the case. But there's a lot of talent on that list, and I guess it's so easy for us to go, we're playing the Tigers. Everyone expects them to be last. They're 17th on the ladder. They've not won many. Don't underestimate them, please. This is still a very, very talented team with a lot of young players, and we know what it's like for a young team where once they get their tails up, they can be hard to stop. So please, for us as supporters, but also the Cats players, make sure we take them seriously. Talking about father-sons, I'd like Tom Brown. Damn Tigers. Yeah, Tom Brown. Where are we? Opposition. So strengths. The strength of the Tigers, I mean, it's that midfield. I just discussed it. That midfield is pretty stacked to the brim with some talent, both experienced and young and up and coming. And, our midfield is perhaps one of our vulnerable areas. So we've got to be really careful in that respect. That said, the big weakness for the Tigers right now, especially with Tom Lynch out, is their forward line. And Geelong's defense is one of our greatest strengths. So I think we could potentially have a bit of a field day with these young, developing, inexperienced Richmond forwards, and really run them off their legs, play that intercept game really well, and kind of kill them. So I think that's their greatest weakness and greatest opportunity for us at the same time. Sorry, Amy, I accidentally clicked that one. What did we say? But for as many games they've played, they're a pretty talented team. We need pepper spray. Is that for Noah Bolter? What's at stake? Well, for the Cats, we are obviously making a push for a top 2 finish. The loss against the Lions didn't help, but we are still in the box seat to get that top 2 spot on the ladder. So I think it's really, really important that we make sure we bank this win. And if percentage is going to come into the mix, because I think our biggest competitor for that spot is actually the Crows, percentage. We've got to build that percentage up whenever we can. And this is one of those occasions. I know I've just spoken about underestimating the Tigers, but if we don't underestimate them, if we come at them as if they're a top 8 team vying for the premiership and bring that, like the intent is there, we should win by 60 plus points. And if we do that, we're really looking after that percentage. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But Cats by 60 plus for me is the final margin. For the Tigers, of course, they're trying to avoid that final spot on the ladder. And good luck to them. They've filled their boots with the recent draft, so they don't necessarily need to tank or worry too much about getting pick 1. So we'll see what happens in that particular regard. They may not even have pick 2 either. If the West Coast Eagles come last and they lose Oscar Allen, they may get pick 2 as a result. So the Tigers might be looking at pick 3 in this particular draft regardless. And that is the main segment of our show here, our match preview. So before we go any further, we are going to get into our player spotlight shortly. We're going to talk about all the other games of the round. We are first going to take a word from our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. Drop those flower emojis, please.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's move on from that into the other games of the round, where we can see here that, as we've been talking a little bit about over the course of the game so far, the round has begun with, we've got a Ben typo. North Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs. The Dogs back in the lead here to the tune of 6 points, 4-1-25, beating the Kangaroos 3-1-19. Carlton play the Pies at the MCG on Friday night. That is a mighty interesting game with all the talk about Carlton and then the fact that they have to go head-to-head with the Pies. Now, obviously, the Pies are one of the benchmark teams in the competition here, but this is the sort of occasion where all that noise tends to disappear, and it's all about, we hate the Pies. We need to trounce these blokes. And maybe that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Blues. Maybe that's what they need to just get up and about, get out of their own heads, go and try and really bash up on an opponent. And while I don't think they'll be successful in that endeavor, it might be what fans, coaches, officials at the club all need to see. Certainly what Michael Voss may need to see. And also, thank you to those who've been dropping those flower emojis there. And yeah, that North is also very Cthulhu-like. I like it. No dying flowers. Yes. Oh, Shadu, I didn't even notice. Yeah, no dying flowers in there. Or maybe it's just like a weeping one. I don't know. Saturday, lots of football on Saturday. West Coast and the Giants kick it off at Optus Stadium. Essendon Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. The aforementioned Geelong and Richmond is your Saturday afternoon or Saturday twilight slot there at GMHBA. Then at night time, we've got Brisbane and Port Adelaide, St Kilda and Hawthorn. Oh, there's another typo. Brisbane and Port Adelaide playing at GMHBA, apparently. That'll be at the Gabba. St Kilda play Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. Sydney and Freo at the SCG on Sunday. Adelaide and Melbourne at Adelaide Oval round everything out. I'm baffled as to why we've only got 2 games on the Sunday, why one of those Saturday afternoon games, and I don't mean Geelong and Richmond, but why one of West Coast and GWS or Essendon and Gold Coast, and honestly, it's probably Essendon and Gold Coast because it's a game in Melbourne. Why that game couldn't have been shifted to Sunday is absolutely beyond me. But everyone, send your love to Ben for 2 typos in the graphic there. He won't love me shit stirring him. I know he's been very busy and he hasn't been able to provide me other graphics tonight for that exact reason. But suck shit, champ. Give it to him, everyone. Oh no! Don't tell me. Did he make that typo? Hang on, I'm bringing it back. I need to look at the graphic. Did he miss? Oh no, he spelled Sydney. Okay, right. Bullet dodge for Ben there. Okay, that is the around the grounds for this week, but we do, of course, have the VFL to consider as well. Geelong, who is 15th, takes on the Tigers in 9th place. That is 12:05 on Sunday at GMHBA Stadium. The team will be named on Friday afternoon, so stay tuned for that. Whilst in the VFLW, the Cats team is surging right now off the back of a couple of consecutive wins. The Cats are now 11th, taking on the D's in 12th. Sunday, 11:05 at Casey Fields. I really, really don't like the fact that the women's team at 11:05, the men's team at 12:05, that they overlap. Why on earth couldn't we have had a double header? Why couldn't we have had them, maybe if it's not a double header, but at least not running at the same time, so you could bounce over to, well, like between Casey and GMHBA. Roaming says the team's already been named. Didn't realize that, but thank you. I guess Ben, maybe, he might have. I don't know. I don't know. Ben's a busy boy, and he does so much work for me this, so I'm not going to sink the boots in too much. That's for all of you to do. And that takes us to one of our main attractions of the show tonight, our player spotlight on this bloke, Ollie Dempsey, who has recently re-signed through till 2029. It's awesome to see it. The most recent Rising Star winner has been doing some amazing things for the Cats this year. And let's kind of talk about that in a little bit of detail. So his early life comes from a basketball background, as is fairly frequently discussed. But he comes from a basketball background. You can see it on the way he plays all the time, that aerial capacity, that game sense where he really knows quite well what's going on around him. It's a fantastic skill set that he's got. He was drafted by Geelong from Kerry Grammar with pick 15 in the 2021 rookie draft. So many people forget this is a rookie drafted player in the first place, but he has blossomed into something amazing. He debuted in round 6, 2022 against North Melbourne and played 2 games that year. Let's not forget that game that was down in Tassie, that debut game of his. All his mates rolled up in like 2-degree temperatures. Their shirts were off, celebrating him. I think they had letters written all across their guts. Doing an amazing job. You love to see it. Massive shout out to Glenn, who's popped into the chat tonight. Good to see you there, mate. Roaming a little bit subdued there, just saying Ollie's a good player. Ollie is an absolute ripper, but I know what you're getting at. Overlooked for the 2022 final series. He then went and played 7 games across his first 2 seasons before exploding last year. He did get that nomination in round 1 of 2024 for the Rising Star and went on to win the award. It's the second Geelong player to ever win it, with the other being Joel Selwood. He was one of the front runners all year, and especially once the likes of Sam Darcy and Harley Reid were eliminated from contention, it became so unbelievably obvious that Ollie was going to be the front runner this year. And sorry, Larky's kicked 4 goals already. Taking a bit of a look. That's a monster effort. Good job, Nick Larky. Where did I go? Sorry, there we go. Across his 4 seasons now, Ollie Dempsey has played 47 games, kicked 46 goals. Really? He's been averaging like 1.5 a game. Okay, anyway. He's played in 2 finals, including the 2024 prelim loss to the Lions. Kicked 3 goals on 3 occasions so far. He's recorded his PB, 27 disposals in a game against Richmond in 2024. He's won the Rising Star medal, the Tom Wills medal, I should say, and was, unsurprisingly to all, the 2024 winner of Geelong's Best Young Player Award. There's been some memorable Ollie Dempsey moments up to this point. Of course, his first game, as we mentioned there at Tassie, taking selfies with all his mates. Clicking things that I shouldn't. Nearly destroyed the stream. My bad, everyone. Where are we? So his first game in Tassie, taking selfies with his mates. He's very upfront and honest, upfront and obvious and clear, respectful of his faith in God. He's got a great connection with Gary Ablett Jr. I think they've probably really bonded over that particular aspect of both of their lives. He made sure during his acceptance award for the Rising Star to thank Harley Reid and Sam Darcy for getting suspended. He took that awesome hanger on steel side bottom earlier this year, going to give himself a chance at winning the mark of the year this year with that one. And Wacky Wednesday with notable Formula One driver efforts so far. Chat, I want to hear from you before we move on to another segment here, because we are absolutely rolling through the show tonight. And I did say I need to keep it a bit shorter, but we are absolutely rolling through the show tonight. What have been some of your favorite Ollie Dempsey memories? Because he has been unreal for us in the last 2 seasons. I'm genuinely of the mind that he is a front runner for a All-Australian gig on the wing this year. I think between him and McCluggage, we've got 2 genuinely superb wingmen that should get selected in that spot. It shouldn't be a dumping ground for midfielders. They want to get into the center but can't, because we've got 2 excellent wingmen that are doing amazing things this year. Ollie is one of those. Oh, that is a good one. The one when he stole the ball out of North defender's hands and kicked a goal. The other one where he kind of just backed right off to allow a deliberate rush that got him then a free kick. He's very, very clever in those tight confines and high stake positions of the ground. He's very alert. Shadu highlights so many freakish goals. He's so exciting. When he's in front of goals, it feels like anything could happen. He's doing great stuff, and I'm loving the way he just floats in from the wing. Like, he is making his opposing number work to get to that other end of the ground, and he makes them accountable. And then does the work going the other way. I'm loving it. Is that Ben hiding on the Hoops Crew account from his mistakes? Absolutely, that is Ben. The chaps, obviously, we did see, I think it was Jake earlier on commenting, but that will be Ben. Absolutely highlighting that. Ben, when he mentioned that Larky just missed his chance for a 5th goal. What is going on in that game? North by 6 points at quarter time. Good on him. Good on him. But also, I tipped the Dogs by 42 points. So if we can not blow out my margin too much, it's ridiculous. We love Ollie Dempsey. He's an absolute superstar. And I think 2029 takes him, I think, to free agency. But I'm pretty confident we can hang on to him beyond that. He's an absolute ripper. All right. Our next segment is Game of the Show, and then we're going to get to some Q&A, and Ben has provided us some trivia here as well. So we'll get into our Game of the Show here. And like I said, we're doing things a little bit differently tonight. There's been some pretty shitty stuff going on in the video games industry in the last 24 hours. And I want to, rather than spotlight a game, I want to spotlight the news itself. This is from one of my fellow editors at my website, player2.net.au. Please go and check it out. And I would love for people to give this article a bit of a click and read through it. I'm not going to scroll through the entire thing and give you the opportunity to read there. I would love for you to just go and show it a bit of love. It's gotten a lot of love from the local industry. We've taken a bit of a risk with this because we're potentially jeopardizing our relationship with PR by saying what we've said here. But for anyone who's, I guess, a little bit out of the loop, Microsoft layoffs. Overnight, it was announced that Microsoft has cut 9,000 jobs as a part of an ongoing, ongoing wave of restructures in their industry, and that, in a lot of ways, affected their Xbox division. Keep in mind, Microsoft owns Xbox, and there's been games cancelled, teams completely closed. For a bit of context, for anyone who's kind of really does follow this stuff, the Initiative was a team that Microsoft had built from the ground up, going back 8 years ago now. It was meant to be one of the next big things. They were working on a new Perfect Dark game. Perfect Dark being a beloved Nintendo 64 franchise that Microsoft acquired when they bought Rare many, many years ago. More on Rare in a second. And that team has been completely shut down. The game has been cancelled. They showed Perfect Dark last year, and it was looking amazing. I said we'd get back to Rare. When it comes to Rare, that team, the team responsible for Banjo-Kazooie, for the original Donkey Kong Countries, if you want to focus on, for Perfect Dark, for GoldenEye back in the day. If we talk about the Xbox side, they did Sea of Thieves, they did Viva Pinata, they did Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is shit. This team is absolutely phenomenal, and it is one of the most iconic teams in the industry. They were working on a new game called Everwild. That game has been cancelled. The head of the studio and the one remaining person who was a connection to the golden era of Rare, Greg Mayles, he left the studio after 35 years overnight. Turn 10, the team responsible for Forza Motorsport, 50% of their team has been laid off in one fell swoop. And I'm sure there is more coming. But that 9,000, this, for perspective, it is gross how big this company is. 9,000 people that got laid off or fired or left represents just 4% of Microsoft. 4% of Microsoft was 9,000 people that got fired. And again, not all of those are from the video game arm, from the Xbox arm, but it's absolutely insane. There's been people from Blizzard that have been fired as well. And actually, I can see a few comments there. Shadoo's just kind of referenced someone on the Blizzard Q&A team said to the employees to stay home. The players are already at home. The real, where are we? Brendan says roaming. Sorry, that wasn't a games one. Lots of cuts from Blizzard Q&A. Amy asked, Shadoo, do you play World of Warcraft? We'll get back to that one. Jared says, well, what the fuck, Microsoft? That's lots of jobs gone and plenty of lives potentially destroyed, and dreams were definitely destroyed. Dick move, Microsoft. 100%. So I want to highlight this piece, and please, if you're watching now, jump across to our website, player2.net.au. It is our feature piece for the day. My editor, Matt Hewson, I absolutely love him. He gave me this opportunity to write for the website. We're now kind of 1 and 2 IC. He's the top dog. I'm the next one in the chain there. He's put together a letter to Phil Spencer, an open letter to Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, outlining everything that is wrong with this and everything that is wrong with his leadership. We haven't gone for graphics. We haven't gone for images. We're not going for clicks, for like clickbait. We're not going for engagement. We're not going for money. This was a letter from the heart that outlines every single concern with what is going on, what has gone on at Microsoft Xbox. And it is so clear that all of this is for the shareholders. And I'm so fucking pissed about it. So yeah, that's that one. Whoa, Shadoo, met your husband on WoW in 2004. That is unreal. Brenton, what's your thoughts on suspending players for umpire contact? I feel like there's got to be that's such a fine line. Like at what point? Yeah, no, I hate it. I hate it. Now, obviously, there's some level of it. Like, there's probably got to be some scope in there. But accidental and incidental contact versus something deliberate, or even could be deemed careless. In the same way that we kind of define strikes and those sort of things in the game. Careless or deliberate, maybe. Well, definitely for deliberate, but for careless, maybe. But if it's just the umpire backed into your space, what are you supposed to do? It's insane. So yeah, they're my thoughts on that one. Shadoo's just back to the World of Warcraft thing. You owe that game so much. Absolute respect. I think that's unreal. I would love for you to share a little bit more in the chat about that. How did it all come about? How did you go from kind of chatting and engaging through World of Warcraft to then meeting face to face to then becoming a couple and getting married? I think that's absolutely amazing. So really, really cool. As Amy says, I'm keen to hear a bit about it. Shadoo, used to be a gamer, played lots of games. Now I only have time for World of Warcraft, and mostly that's out of habit, maintaining a 20-year-old tune. Isn't it avoidable contact to an up? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. 20 years is impressive. It's a crazy effort. That's awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Massive props. So yeah. Our game of the week this week is not a game of the week. It is an open letter to Phil Spencer and the larger company at Xbox. We've put ourselves out on the line there. We work very closely with Xbox PR, and they've been amazing to us over a long, long time. We don't know how they're going to respond to this. I think most people inside and even outside of Xbox probably share the same thoughts around this whole thing, that it is an awful, awful thing. But we hope that they don't hate us too much for it. But please take a moment, read the piece. There's a lot there, and Matt really spoke from the heart when he put this together. So please consider checking that one out. It's there on player2.net.au right now. And when we do the show on Monday, we'll come back to our normal game of the week proceedings. 9,000 employees. 4% of Microsoft. Cut. Instantly. It's fucked. All right. Let's get into some trivia before we get into some Q&A and before we wrap this show up. We're going to power through these a little bit because, like I said, I am short on time tonight, short on sleep, short on rest, short on everything. So, first up, which team? This is a softball to start with. Come on, Ben, do better. Which team has won more head-to-head matches between Geelong and Richmond since 2000? So remember, these are all Geelong and Richmond related pieces of trivia. So which team has won more matches between Geelong and Richmond since the year 2000? I'll wait for the first comment there to answer that one. Shadu nails it. Geelong, of course. We've dominated every team in the competition since basically 2004. Which Geelong player holds the record for the most handballs in a game against Richmond? And yeah, shout out to Roaming, to Shadu, to Jackie, and Jared, who've all said Geelong for that one. Yeah, Roaming highlights their fourth last for winning games since 2000. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, sorry. So yeah, which player holds the current record for the most handballs in a game against Richmond? I'm seeing the name. If someone is even able to give me the number, so yes, it's Joel Selwood. Does anyone know how many handballs that was? Joel Selwood with how many? I'll wait for the chat to pop off there because I know there's going to be that bit of a delay. Jackie says 22. It is higher than 22. I'm shocked by this number. I don't even know what game it was. Higher than 22, so higher than 18 as well, Mark. Definitely not 56. Definitely not 8,647. Roaming might be having a bit of a time here on the keyboard. 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's just throwing numbers at me. Oh, he's throwing all sorts of numbers. Jared says 27. It is higher than 27. It is higher than 25, Mark. But Jared, you're starting to get really close. Roaming's gone a little too high there with 37. It's less than 30. Higher than 27. I'm going to have to look this up. $29 is the number. Roaming is Shadu. No, who got there first? Oh, it's all popping off. I looked away for a second. 29. Mark was first in with that one. I'll see if I can find the specific game where it occurred. I don't think I can. Either way, AFL tables give me that number. Though I'm also seeing an AI thing that says that most handballs in a game is 30, but I don't think I believe that because it's AI. Is that the game you got something like 48 disposals? You would imagine so. I would have thought that'll be that game. So, how many behinds did Gary Ablett Sr. kick in his 14-goal haul against the Tigers in 1989? So, the game that you kicked 14 goals against the Tigers in 1989, how many behinds do you kick? And keep in mind, this was Richmond's biggest loss to Geelong prior to that famous 2007 game. How many behinds do you kick? Mark says 1. Jared says 7. It's less than 7, higher than 1. Roaming nailed it with 2. He's just tossing numbers out there, but 2 is the right answer. Roaming, this is dodgy shit. You just spamming numbers. Next up, how many times? It's another Ben typo here on the back end. How many times did Gary Ablett Sr. kick 10 or more goals against the Tigers? So how many times has Gary Sr. kicked 10 plus goals against the Tigers? Mark says 5. It is less than 5. Jared has nailed it with 3. 3 times Gary Ablett Sr. kicked 10 or more. Oh, here's a good one. This is a good bit of trivia here. Which Geelong ruckman holds the record for the most hitouts in a game against the Tigers? Ben's also just jumped in, owning his mistakes, I'm sure. about his typos. Chris Scott bobbleheads are available in the Cats shop, apparently. But yes, sorry. Which Geelong ruckman holds the record for the most hit-outs in a game against the Tigers? And it is not, it is Jed Buse. It is not Brad Ottens, unfortunately. Myself and my wife used to refer to this big bloke as Legs. Not that that'll help you with anything, but that's what we used to call him anyway. He's also dropping the Chris Scott bobblehead link. It's not Flanagan. Fairly recent in the grand scheme of things. This ruckman. Fairly recent ruckman. Post Brad Ottens. Post Brad Ottens. It's not Big Segs. It's not Blakey. It's not Stephen King. This player played for the Cats after Brad Ottens. It's not Trent West. It's not Big Shane Mummy. Not many ruckmen left. Not many ruckmen left that have actually played enough football for the Cats to be able to, or to probably achieve something like that. Hint, he came from another club before joining the Cats. He then might have returned to that same club. Not Mark Blitzarves. Sorry, Jared, I know you posted that one before I said what I said. Close, but it's not me. I'd love to get 51 hit-outs against. Started a different club, moved to the Cats, and then went back to the other club, which is why, Reece Stanley doesn't quite fit the bill, Jackie. There we go. Zach Smith with 51 hit-outs. Grind Myers. 51 hit-outs to Zach Smith. And our final bit of trivia for the night. Which Geelong ruckman? Oh, Ben. I'm just going to pin him here on the screen. Ben, the typos tonight have been outrageous. You screwed up in the... Hang on, I don't have it. Hang on. Yes, I do. Look at your handiwork, Ben. North Melbourne. And Brisbane and Port Adelaide are playing at GMHBA Stadium. Get your shit together, mate. North. It's all Cthulhu stuff. Our last question here. Which Geelong ruckman holds the record for the most free kicks in a game against Richmond? So we've narrowed it down a little bit. There's a player that Geelong holds the record for the most free kicks against Richmond, but he's a ruckman. Which Geelong ruckman holds the record for the most free kicks in a game against Richmond? For context that day, Geelong were plus 26 frees for that day, but lost by 50. It is free kicks 4, Jackie, to your point. Sorry. Frees 4, this individual that day. Oh, dear. It's not Reece Stanley. It's not Brad Ottens. Oh, my God. It's not Reece Stanley, not Brad Ottens. Sorry, the comments are coming in quickly. Older, much older. Not a modern day Cat, we'll say. I reckon this one might take a little while. This is a tricky one. Like Ben has thrown up a real doozy at the end here. Not Graham Polly-Farmer. Not John Barnes. Thinking much older than John Barnes still. Not Mark Blake. Pre-2000. I'll guarantee you that. Pre-2000, this individual did not play AFL football at all for this club or any other club in the year 2000. Hell, this individual didn't play football for the Cats or another club post, I don't know, like before 1970 even. A very well-known Geelong ruckman. Oh, hang on. Okay, let me rule out the 1970 thing. Sorry. 1980 was the final year that this individual played. I got my my timeline's a bit wrong just because he's an old bastard. Everyone loves what this individual has to say. A very divisive individual. I've got to stop pinging Mark Blake. Sorry. Yes, there it is. Big John Sammy Newman with 13 free kicks. 13 free kicks. Sorry. I know. Maybe my sarcasm. I hope my sarcasm was clear. Yeah. Everyone loves him. But yeah, John Sam Newman, 13 free kicks that day he received. Like I said, Geelong were plus 26 frees for the day, but lost the game to the tune of 50 points. All right, let's get into some Q&A. Now, there's a few prompts here that I'm looking for the chat to contribute to. Okay, good. You heard the sarcasm. That's a relief. I'm, sometimes a bit hard to convey, especially when you don't necessarily know someone too much face to face. So I'm glad that was clear. Hang on. So Ben's first one is which Geelong player will Richmond fans boo this time? Obviously, that's a reference to Tom Stewart of the other year after he collected the spicy meatball Dion Prestia. For me, I don't see there being anyone. Honestly, I don't like. And sorry, roaming. The question was specifically around which Geelong player will Richmond fans boo. So I don't think there'll be, unless we collect someone. I don't think there'll be anyone. But if there's going to be someone, Zach Smith will be the. Zach Smith. Bailey Smith will be the one. We've kind of spoken a little bit about this already, so I've gotten a few different answers from people so far, especially those who attended on the day. But where were you when Geelong smashed the Tigers by 157 points in 2007? Me, I was at Marvel Stadium. Jackie, at Marvel Stadium, or whatever we called it at the time. That was probably the Telstra Dome then, I reckon. So, yeah, that's... I was there. And absolutely loving it. But for those who weren't, where were you watching? Where were you? Were you watching it? Roaming was at home watching it. Oh, hang on. What? Sorry, I'm flicking back and forth from the game. But did Ed Richards KO LDU? Ooh. Yeah, I was kind of in the half forward flank that day, but it was a nice, relaxing night. That's for sure. Lots of celebration. How is North competing here? What are the Bulldogs doing? Smoke them. And yeah, Luke Davies-Juniak is out injured apparently. So I don't know. Is there video yet? Hang on. Let me see if Twitter can answer that for me. What is... Hang on, sorry. LDU. So LDU was getting a concussion test, but I haven't... Okay. Let's have a bit of a look here. A high fend-off, apparently. Okay. Reflex fend-off, not much in it. Okay. But he might be concussed, which then instantly kind of brings it into the conversation, whether we like it or not. But we'll see how that one shapes up. My DMs have just pinged. Oh, hang on. There we go. Jackie, you're a rock star. Just sent me the... Nah, there's nothing in there. It's accidental, but no, that's nothing to see there with that one. But thank you, Jackie, for sharing the link. That really does help. Much appreciated. All right, let's continue on with the Q&A here. Should we be happy for Josh Caddy after he won 2 premierships with the Tigers? Obviously, former Cat came really close with us. Jumped ship, then was part of the Richmond teams that went on to beat us in a few grand finals, or beat us towards a few grand finals. Should we be happy for Josh Caddy? For me, yeah. Like, I'm not going to begrudge anyone who what did we get out of the Josh Caddy trade? Let me have a bit of a look at that. Great, domain's expired. Well, that's useless. I'd love to see what came of it, but I've got no problem. Like I don't begrudge anyone. I'm a bit like Jackie. Like I just don't think of him. Like, congratulations, good on him. Trade involved Geelong receiving pick 24 in the 2016 national draft and a swap of later picks in exchange for Caddy and 56. So who did we pick up? Geelong draft 2016. Who did we get out of that? We lost Josh Caddy. Oh, no. I am more than okay with what came of that trade. So this stupid Draft Guru site doesn't work. But in that trade, we as Jackie's just nailed, Brandon Parfitt with pick 26. That was the most direct and obvious one. But then there was exchanges of picks. And what's really important to note here is that pick 40, we got Tom Stewart. Pick 43, we got Asava Radaglia. Now, of course, we know what Asava's been able to provide for us through the picks we got back for him. Tom Stewart is a legend. We've got two premiership players in Parfitt and Tom Stewart. There's Asava Radaglia. You can go toss Quinton Narkle in. He was really good for us for a while. Sure. Congratulations to Josh Caddy on his two premierships. But Tom Stewart has offered this game so much more than what Josh Caddy has ever done. And, two premierships to Caddy, two between Parfitt and Tom Stewart. Maybe Tom Stewart gets another one this year. I am very, very happy with how that worked out. Congratulations to Josh Caddy. Ben's got a couple here for me, but I might go with one more. Yeah. And it relates to the Tigers, but also North, who's playing right now, and West Coast. The final question of the night, at least in terms of the ones that Ben's provided, otherwise throw a few different ideas at me before we wrap the show up, is will Richmond, North, and West Coast return to the top 8 by the year 2030? Now, I'm not saying they all need to be in the top 8 in the year 2030, but will they have all been in the top 8 by the year 2030? Will they have been a relevant team again somewhere by that particular point in time? For me, the answer is yes. Richmond, they filled their boots with that draft this past year. They've got so much talent on that list now. They just need time to develop, and they're still going to top up with a few good kids along the way as well. So Richmond, yes. North Melbourne, I think they are steps ahead of Richmond at the moment. Yes. West Coast, well, they've spent so much time at the bottom. How could they not, right? Unless they do lose your Harley Reeds, and they're going to lose. Seems like they're going to lose Oscar Allen. You lose Harley Reid, but you get so much back, presumably through these things, and you're going to be a cellar dweller still for a couple more years. So you're going to fill your boots with some good picks. You're going to get what you need probably before Tasmania comes in, assuming the whole thing works out for Tasmania. You get all that you need before they come in and really compromise the draft. I think all three teams, yes, will have played finals and been a relevant team by the year 2030. I don't see, I could quite easily see a scenario where all three are top 8 teams by that point. But we'll see how we go. All right. Throw some other comments, thoughts, and ideas at me. I'll give it 5 minutes before we wrap the show up. Thank you to everyone who's been dialed into the show so far. It has been much appreciated as always. But like I said, I am well and truly cooked and just need to go get some rest. Ben suggests Lawson Reed greater than Harley Reid. Will we still say that if Harley Reid becomes a cat? Or do we just not engage in that conversation at that point? It's a bit like how, and I'll throw myself under the bus here, Bailey Smith. I mean, you all heard me on the show. I was giving them, and Bailey sniff jokes left, right, and center until he became a cat. At which point, no, we're better than that. Put it away. So I'm a hypocrite. But I mean, look, I think at face value, certainly based on what they've offered to their respective clubs so far, I would agree with Ben's sentiment. Will we still speak this way when Harley Reid is a cat at the end of 2026? Thank you, Jackie. I will. Harley Reid just needs brothers with the same hair. Yeah. Ben tells me to go put those turtle PJs on. Yeah, we'll see. It's not going to happen. I don't have any. All right. There's the turtles emojis. All right, we'll wrap things up there then. Thank you all very, very much for having tuned in. Once again, you've engaged every step of the way through our team selection, our match preview, the player spotlight. We did game of the show and really honed in on a really big topic in the video games industry there. Instead of touching on a game, I really appreciate all of you and how committed you've been to the show tonight and how actively engaged you've been. It's been awesome to have you all on board. Roaming has just dropped a bomb at the end here. North will win tonight and go on a run and win win the flag in 2 years. Trust. That's a big one. Shadoo's just said, sorry, I'm back. Shadoo, we're about to wrap things up. Ben also says we need a behind the play episode with the creators of TMNT. Tell me, people, you know of my love of video games. In the off season, I want to keep chatting with people. Would you, and I know there's many of you here, and I think what I really want to hear from are some of the people who aren't into video games in the community here. In the off season, would you want video game streams? Would you want me streaming games here for on the Hoops Crew YouTube channel? Just not necessarily because you love video games, but just as an opportunity to chat and engage and still be part of the community and chat amongst ourselves. Would that be a thing that people are interested in? And I guess it is. There's two lenses to this because, of course, there are the people who within our community who do like games, who do play games, and then there's others that perhaps maybe don't dislike them but don't play them. Would be keen to hear your thoughts on that particular one. So because IRL stream meetup, I mean that'd be really cool. Wouldn't mind it. Jared's keen. 12-hour marathon stream on Grand Final Eve. Book it in. Maybe I'd take a couple hours playing a game. Maybe we play a few rounds of AFL 26. Midway through the stream. We'll see how that goes. But always like streaming, maybe play some games together. Something we could definitely get some co-op session. We can use the Discord to try and get some co-op and competitive stuff going. We can play some rounds of a bit of Helldivers, whatever the other big multiplayer game happens to be at the moment, not Fortnite. So I wouldn't, but I don't play them. I tune in for the footy. Mark, though, would you pop in for that community aspect and us all just chatting? We'd have the live stream. We'd still run it as usual. The chat would be going. We'd be looking to chat to people. Could be a really good time. So that sort of thing, really keen. Flop stream did not go above 20 viewers. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but we are, of course, clashing a little bit with the football right now. Fortnite with Baz Lenka, as Shadoo says. Jared says, would check it out if not busy. That's fair. No, don't blame anyone for that. I think that, compared to what we usually do, numbers would be well and truly down on engagement because it's just not it's not the bread and butter. But I like the opportunity. I really enjoy getting to chat to all of you guys, and if I'm sitting there playing a game and getting to chat at the same time, I think it could be great fun. Couple of hours a week. Good opportunity to all hang out. Paul has a Richmond-themed PS5 controller. No, you have ignorance, Mark Clown. Jackie says, not a me thing, would give it a go. Mark would because he likes the chat community. That's awesome. An easy game anyone can get amongst like Team Fortress. Just a game for anyone, Team Fortress. All right. That's where we'll wrap things up. Thank you all. Oh, sorry, hang on. Are you planning more collab streams with the chaps? The other night was great. I think it's definitely on the radar. Trying to get it logistically right can be a bit of a challenge. I suspect big, long 2.5 hour things like the other night wouldn't be the norm. But it'd be really cool to get some of those things going every now and then. I think it's awesome when we all get together. So my fingers are crossed that we can make it happen. All right. Thank you all for having tuned in. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to chat. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, tell your friends and family, get the word out there about the Hoops Crew and all the awesome content that we're creating. Use that comment section, as many of you have done tonight. But if you're watching this after the fact, as I'm sure some of you are, please make sure, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Would love to hear what you've got to say about all of the topics that we've discussed tonight. You can be heard using the super chat function. Way too late for that right now, but please consider it in the future. It also goes to the continued growth, just like our Patreon goes to the continued growth of all things Hoops Crew. So every donation you make doesn't just disappear into the pockets of YouTube. It goes towards us getting improved equipment like we did with the lights to really improve my output this year. And I think, and microphones and all those sort of things. We've got big plans for what we can do with the money that comes in to improve the product that we're then creating for you. We want to reinvest in this business. We're certainly not lacing our pockets with it, that's for sure. So we want to be able to make a better show, make better content, higher quality content. It's awesome. So thank you all, whether you've used Super Chat, whether you're a Patreon supporter. We appreciate everything that comes in, and it does help make our content better. We love you for it. You can find me on socials. That's Paul James Games on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Thank you to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist, for your support of the Hoops Crew and everything we do. And of course, as I mentioned a moment ago, there is the Patreon. That is patreon.com/thehoopscrew. $5 a month is all it takes to get access to our exclusive early access and extended content that we're delivering there from myself, the chaps, from Ben. Lots of cool stuff. We've been doing live watch-alongs for some of the games that has been really well received so far. We're continuing to develop that and refine it. So it's been exclusive to patrons right now before we roll that out publicly somewhere in the future. I know that we have one scheduled for the Geelong and GWS games, so stay tuned for that. That is exclusive to Hoops Crew patrons, so please consider checking it out. And that is where we'll wrap things up for the night. Thank you to all of those who pop in. Oh my God, the chat's popping off. Where are we? Pre-game live, yeah, possibly. Braslow watch along. Yeah, I think we might have to do a Brownlow watch along. I'll stream the Brownlow. What I'd also like to do is do a stream of Kaji, just like we did last year. But yeah, really keen on that idea. Award season streams would be really awesome. We could all dress in formal wear. Yeah, I'll suit up for it. Watch parties coming in 2026 as Ben expands. I want to see Ben in a suit and bow tie and Paul in a fancy vest. Birthday suit and bow tie. That's more Lucas's kind of behavior. Oh, there we go. Shadoo's now. That's Lucas's get up. In the turtle PJs. Sorry. 50 patrons, that's what it takes. Paul needs to do a turtle cosplay at the meetup. Don't forget to hit that like button, as Mark says. Please smash it if you haven't already. It all helps with engagement, which then puts our content in front of more people, and this community expands as a result. We finish up by talking about the Dogs being up by 12 points. 42 points is what we're looking for. Another 5 goals extended that margin, please, Doggies. Make sure to check out Post-Game Live. It's going to be a late one on Saturday night. Ben can't get there till 10:30. That'll be post-game. I can't make it till roughly the same sort of time. I'm kind of out of action for a while. So it's going to be a late post-game live. But stay tuned for that one. We'll make it work. We're keen to hear all of your thoughts on the Geelong and Richmond game, where hopefully we win by a minimum of 60 points, as I highlighted before. And that's where we'll wrap things up. Thank you all, as always, for that ongoing support of all the content we're creating, our live streams, everything. It's awesome. Wow. That hurts. That's where we'll wrap things up on that note. Enjoy your nights. Enjoy the Cats hopefully winning by a large margin on Saturday afternoon. Remain Geelong strong, and I'll see you later.